As gardeners, we are very much at the mercy of Mother Nature. So even though we may be excited and anxious to get our plants in the ground, we really do have to work on Mother Nature's timeline. My name is Nicole and my planting zone is 8A and I am in coastal North Carolina. My biggest nature challenge right now is to just get past my average frost date, which is April 15th, which is like right now. So in the meanwhile, before I'm able to start getting everything in the ground that I want to, I am able to still get some yard prep work done, like unloading a pallet of mulch that we purchased, moving rocks around in my landscape. I will definitely get more into the rocks that I have in my landscape in another video because I have some really cool things that I've brought in from other places. But I digress. I've also been able to divide up some plants from my yard and I'm storing them inside my greenhouse until like kind of this time frame is passed so that I can get everything in the ground. So I'd love to show you the things that I have divided up, that I have stored inside my greenhouse that has now made my greenhouse so full. Some of what I have in here is absolutely common and no biggie, but some of it I was a little bit surprised to find that I had in my yard. So let me show you. I just barely have enough room to step inside here. And I sort of did that intentionally because what was happening was we were getting a couple of evenings of cold temperatures, not freezing, but cold temperatures. So some stuff like my hostas that I had freshly divided, I didn't want them to be sitting out in the cold. So I ended up just bringing everything in here right at the last moment. So, hostas. As we can see, I had a lot. Shame on me because I hadn't divided my hostas in years and they desperately needed it. They were so huge. For the most part, hostas are shade-loving plants, which is not that great for me because I have virtually no shade. When I bought this property, it was a new construction home and unfortunately the developers decided to cut down all the trees when they were building the home. It was a very difficult thing to do to move to a property like this, but at the same time it gave me the opportunity to start my landscaping with a blank slate. Anyway, these hostas right here that are the variegated kind, I don't know exactly what their names are because I'm fortunate enough that my mom gave me them from her property. So they had been doing super well here where I had them. They will tolerate some sun, but I was able to divide up each of my hosta plants from one plant into 4. So now I have a whole bunch of those and not really much ground to put them in that has a bit of shade so they don't have to deal with the severe Carolina summer sun. This gorgeous baby right here though, this one is definitely a shade loving hosta. So I want to baby this one and put it in the most shady spot that I have. Those are some obvious dividers. Let's see what else I have in here. Besides hostas, another thing that's common for me are lilies. So I knew I had to divide up some lilies also. These are my tiger lilies, and this is probably maybe 1/4 of the huge mound that I had. These are stargazer lilies, arguably one of my favorite. They're just so stunning. I was able to dig some of those up, so these are divided and ready to go somewhere else. Then I have a very nice collection of canna lilies. So I have different heights and 3 different colors. I am super excited about these. Love spreading them around, love the tropical look, and the fact that they are going to last me well into fall. I'm trying not to be rude in keeping my sunglasses on, so I keep taking them on and off depending on the angle in which I set the camera up. But anyway, another thing I have, and I divided up multiple times, is this lyotrope. And it's also called monkey grass, I've heard people say, and it's just starting to come awake right now. So this was like the best time to divide it up. This is one of the very few things that the builder gave us when we first bought the house. So at least I can keep making that useful. The peony, whose gorgeous, luscious blooms can be very easy for some folks to grow, are not that easy for me to grow here on this North Carolina property. Wasn't exactly sure what the story was with that, but then last year I went and talked to someone at the local nursery who's a garden specialist, and he said that we actually can grow peonies quite easily here in this area with a few requirements. One, of course, yes, you need the sun. Two, you need nutrient-rich soil. Okay, that's what everybody says. But one of the other things that he mentioned to me was ants. Ants are actually sort of a requirement to help the peonies open. I've heard that before. Some people say it's true. Some people don't believe it. I don't know. I'm choosing to believe it. Here's why. On my property, when I bought it, everything had been basically scraped away in terms of nutrients in my soil. I essentially had to start over, adding nutrients, topsoil, really good things for my plants. I think a lot of the insects and, you know, squirrels, birds, things kind of drifted away from this area because it was essentially a barren land, if you will, right? So everything got leveled, houses got put up, insects went away, that type of thing. And now I'm starting to get them back. So I'm attempting again to grow some peonies. So this one I just purchased from Walmart. It was $18 to get it looking like this. I did also purchase a bare root plant of the peony. This was about $6. I'm just going to put them both in the ground and see what happens. See what can give me my best bloom, and hopefully I have success with those stunning flowers here on my North Carolina property. Looking behind me for a couple of other more interesting or rare things that I wasn't necessarily expecting on my property. Here is one of the things that I consider to be a good and a little bit more of a rare find. It's wisteria. I do have 2 wisteria plants, vines, whatever, growing up some trellises that were purposeful. Well, in clearing out where the wisteria was growing, I did find some roots that looked like they were ready to come up out of the ground. So I took them out. I didn't know if I was going to be able to successfully just stick them in a pot and let them grow. I thought I probably could, since they do grow wild in a lot of places. I figured they couldn't need that much care, again, except Mother Nature, right? But anyway, I put this baby in a pot, doing well, got my first bloom, super excited. Plus I can see more growth coming out of the bottom of the pot, so I couldn't be more thrilled. Another fun find in my garden, and something that I was really thrilled to see my garden give back to me, is I got 2 crepe myrtles. So crepe myrtle trees or shrubs also do propagate, but a lot of times you'll find they're growing little suckers that come right out of the base of their tree instead of having brand new plants right beside the tree. But if you're lucky, you will find the babies that are beside your tree or shrub, and they're growing all on their own. Super easy to dig up, put them into pots, transplant them somewhere else. Another plant that I have that is just so massive, that propagates so easily, is right here, the purple heart. It is considered a succulent. This one in particular is growing out of a pot, and it is just giant. I have this growing in soil, in pots, in water, in jars, as well as in my ground. And in all of those places, it does magnificently. The only thing is, if you do grow it in water inside your home, it does tend to lose some of this purple color because it really does love the sunlight. But holy cow, let me show you how many I have just in here alone. So if you are looking for a pop of color, this would be a great option for any of your containers or inside your ground. So now that it seems like my last frost date is behind me, it's time to get to work. I need to get all of those plants out of the greenhouse and into the ground. I hold myself to a very high standard, which means I like to get a lot of work done in a short amount of time. Or maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, because I've also decided to have an Earth Day party, which is next weekend, and that means I have a lot of yard work ahead of me. I don't think any of my friends or neighbors are going to judge me if everything is not perfect, but if I can show off what I have already, and it's still early spring, that would just be so fun for me, just to get to share all of my plants and my landscaping with my friends and my neighbors. You can see behind me, this is my waterfall. If you watched an older video, you saw me take my hibiscus out of the waterfall in order to save its life for the winter. Well, I think now it's time to put the hibiscus back in. Besides that, I have my mulch to spread, and as I said, many things to get in the ground. So happy planting, everyone. Let's do this.